with lowest price guarantee.
Right, let's talk investing now. With interest rates beginning to plummet, what does that mean for our own investment strategies? Keeping cash in the bank and getting 5%, that game is pretty much over. Joined in the studio now, Faisal Hasan is Chief Investment Officer, Head of Asset Management at Al Mal Capital here in Dubai. Faisal, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
I'm going to get your thoughts on this in a second. Spoiler, buying UAE companies that pay healthy dividends could be one strategy. First up, though, let's just get some context on those falling interest rates. We had the interest rate cut from the Fed last week. Yesterday, we had Austin Goolsbee speaking. Now, he's the president of the Fed in Chicago. Have a listen to this. If you weren't convinced before that interest rates are going to fall further and faster, you will be after this.
Make no doubt about it. We're hundreds of basis points above the neutral rate. If conditions continue like this, there are a lot of cuts to come over the next 12 months. So whether the next one is 25 or 50 or 0 or whatever, my view is over the next 12 months, we have a long way to come down to get the interest rate to something like neutral.
So, Faisal, you hear comments like that. You're a fund manager. You run, among other things, the Al Mal UAE Equity Fund. Bigger picture, what do falling interest rates mean for investment decisions?
I think for the investors, yes, the falling interest rate means that they would have to look out for other avenues other than the fixed income. Especially, there was a lot of money that was made in, let's say, money market funds or bank deposits. And when you compare them with other asset classes, the kind of spread that was between them was not very high. So it was not compelling for them to go for riskier asset classes. So I think they will be now moving to other asset classes. We'll see much more rotation towards equities.
And UAE equities in particular, because the dividend payouts for UAE equities are high by international standards. You've got the utilities like DEWA paying 5 or 6% annual dividend, and some companies paying significantly more than that. Talk us through that story, because there's a kind of a double whammy, a good double whammy for UAE companies. Partly your repayments on your loans fall down, so you make more profit, but also you become more attractive. Those dividends become more attractive because you're not getting interest in the bank.
So from the corporate profitability point of view, yes, the interest expense of the companies go down. So the profitability increases and they will be able to share that with their investors. And I think from the UAE point of view, there has always been good dividend paying companies. Even now, if I look at it, there are 35 or more companies which are paying dividends of more than 5%. And actually there are 15 or so companies which are paying dividend of more than 6.5%, which is a very compelling case. And this is a very kind of a trend where they pay very stable dividends because they have a good and stable cash flow generation which they can share with the shareholders.
Okay, I'm looking at your top picks at the moment in the Al Mal UAE Equity Fund. This is your fact sheet from July this year, but it's reasonably up to date. And you're big on some of the Abu Dhabi companies. ADNOC Drilling, top pick. ADNOC Logistics, second pick. And Abu Dhabi Ports, your third pick in terms of your biggest holdings. What is it you like about that type of company?
I think because we like the business, we like the kind of a growth that we are seeing and the kind of organic as well as inorganic growth that have been seen in the companies. But overall, if you look at our UAE fund, the portfolio is pretty diversified, and we have got around 35 to 37 names that we invest in, and they are a mix of growth companies as well as value in terms of dividend generation. And even for our funds, we have just announced a 5% dividend in our fund, because in this part of the world, dividend has a very captive audience, and there are investors who like to have dividends.
So in terms of growth stocks, things that have got growth potential, because with love, Salik and Dewa aren't going to triple or quadruple overnight and do an Nvidia, but we do have some more funky tech AI type stocks, don't we? We've got Yarsat, for example, which is just merging at the moment. You've got International Holding Company potentially and others in Abu Dhabi. So what do you make of this tech space in the UAE?
I think, yes, the tech space is there and it's increasing. And the good part in the UAE is that the exchange has become much more broad-based. It's not dominated by one sector, and many other sectors which were not present before in the index are now being presented. So investors have choice to go in for a growth strategy or a value strategy, or they can even create a portfolio just for the dividend plays. And especially the dividend plays, there are good dividend plays that are there in the market where an investor can make around 6 to 7%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at various lists of dividend-paying stocks. You've got Investcorp out of Bahrain listed in Abu Dhabi. That's paying double-digit dividend. The Emirates NBD REIT, the real estate fund, almost double-digit, 10% dividends, which is rare, isn't it, in the corporate world?
Yes, and even the other companies, some of the banks have been regularly paying dividends of more than 5.5 or 6%, and there are corporates, and even our own Al Mal REIT, which is listed on the Dubai Stock Exchange, that has been paying a dividend of around 7%. So there are options for the dividend generating stocks to be part of your portfolio.
Just a minute left though, but dividends are not guaranteed, are they? And I saw just yesterday or the day before, you've got Al Ansari Exchange has cut its dividend. It was paying 4 dirhams for a half-year dividend. It's now paying 2 dirhams as a half-year dividend. So these dividends are not guaranteed, are they? That's the risk that investors take.
That's the risk investor has, and obviously it's not guaranteed. But then investors should look at the financial flexibility of the company, the quality stocks, their cash flow generation, and their profitability growth over the past years under different cycles, and then they have to take a call whether the company will be able to continue the dividends, which we believe the UAE companies will.
Faisal, great to talk to you. Appreciate your time this morning. Faisal Hasan, Chief Investment Officer, Head of Asset Management at Al Mal Capital. Tom, do we have to hear from the lawyers after Faisal's frank and honest and insightful investment advice?
Investments go up and investments go down. Before putting your hard-earned money into any investment, Dubai Eye 103.8